Hello everyone. Welcome back to the fourth episode of our ECS video series. In the previous video, we explored ECS Task definition, the blueprint that tells ECS how to run your containers. In this video, we'll focus on the ECS Task, the actual running instance of your application. ECS launches it based on the configuration defined in your task definition, which we covered in the previous episode. We'll explore what an ECS task is, how it works, and why it's critical for running containers effectively inside a cluster. Alright, let's talk about what an ECS task really is. An ECS task is the actual, live instance of your containerized application running inside a cluster. It's your application actually running, not just a configuration or setup. Every ECS task starts from a task definition. The task definition acts like a blueprint, and the task is created by following that blueprint exactly. When you start a task, ECS will automatically place it on the compute platform you chose, either your EC2 instances or with Fargate. ECS handles the deployment and keeps track of the task status. You have the flexibility to run tasks manually for things like one-off jobs or testing. Or, you can use an ECS service to keep your tasks running continuously. ECS will automatically restart them if they fail and manage scaling for you. At the end of the day, tasks are what ECS is really running and managing. They are the actual workloads, the containers doing the work inside your infrastructure. Let's understand ECS tasks using our Office analogy from before. If the task definition is like the job description, detailing the responsibilities, skills, and expectations for a role, then every time you hire someone based on that description, it's like ECS launching a new task. That person, actively working and fulfilling the role, represents a running ECS task, a container in action. And just like you can hire multiple employees for the same job, ECS can run multiple tasks from the same task definition, each one performing the same job as separate, independent instances. Now let's talk about why the ECS task is so important. In ECS, the task is the actual unit of work, it's what runs your containerized application. Without a task, your container wouldn't start. This is what brings your application to life. Each task runs in its own isolated environment, with dedicated CPU, memory, networking, and even security settings. This gives you fine-grained control over performance and protection. Tasks also make scaling easy. Whether you need one or hundreds of instances, ECS spins up more tasks based on your task definition. You can customize each task at runtime using environment variables, secrets, or overrides. And no matter which deployment type you choose, EC2, Fargate or on-premises with ECS Anywhere, it all comes down to running ECS tasks. Plus, everything is monitorable. CloudWatch lets you track usage and behavior task by task, making troubleshooting much easier. Alright, let's jump into the hands-on part and create our first ECS task. In the previous video, we already created an ECS task definition. So now, let's begin the hands-on part of this video, by clicking into that task definition. Next, select version 1 of the task definition, and click on Run Task to get started. From the Run Task workflow, you can run a standalone task, without creating a service. This is perfect for jobs that just need to run once and then exit, like a scheduled batch job. ECS will automatically choose the right compute resources, based on your selected launch type or capacity provider. The task definition family is already selected. This refers to the group or name under which all versions of our task definition are organized. Each time we update a task definition, ECS creates a new revision, and by default, the latest revision is selected here. That means we'll be running the most up-to-date version of the task configuration we defined earlier. The desired tasks field lets you specify how many copies of the task you want to run. For example, if you set this to 1, ECS will launch one running instance of your task. If you enter 3, ECS will try to run 3 identical tasks simultaneously, based on your task definition. The task group field is used to group related tasks together under a common name. This is especially helpful when you're using the spread placement strategy. ECS tries to distribute tasks in the same group across different availability zones or instances. For this demo, we'll leave it blank and not use a task group. Existing cluster lets you choose where to run this task. Since I only have one ECS cluster right now, it's selected by default. Compute options control how your task gets placed on the infrastructure within your ECS cluster. You have two options to choose from. First one is capacity provider strategy, and the second one is the launch type. When you use a capacity provider, Amazon ECS distributes your tasks across one or more capacity providers. These capacity providers manage how your cluster's infrastructure scales to run your tasks. We'll cover capacity provider strategies in more detail in a future video when we dive into ECS auto-scaling. When you select the launch type as your compute option, you're telling Amazon ECS where to run your tasks, whether that's on AWS Fargate serverless infrastructure, on Amazon EC2 instances registered to your cluster, or on your own on-premises servers. You can choose the launch type from the drop-down menu, which offers three options. The first option is Fargate. This is the default selected option. It runs your tasks on AWS serverless infrastructure, so you don't have to manage any servers. The second option is EC2, which runs tasks on Amazon EC2 instances that you have registered with your cluster. The third option is External, which lets you run tasks on your own on-premises servers or virtual machines that you register and manage yourself. Since I set up my cluster using the EC2 launch type, I'll select EC2 from the list. When you create an ECS cluster, it's configured to run tasks either on EC2 instances you manage or on AWS serverless Fargate infrastructure. Tasks with the EC2 launch type run only on EC2 instances registered to that cluster. Tasks with the Fargate launch type run only on Fargate's serverless platform. So, the cluster's launch type and your task's launch type must match. You can't mix EC2-only clusters with Fargate tasks. From the task placement workflow, you define how Amazon ECS places tasks on the instances in your cluster. We'll cover this in detail in another video, when we talk about ECS deployments. From the volume workflow, you can configure data volumes that Amazon ECS will create and attach to your tasks. In the task override section, you can pick different IAM roles for this specific task, overriding the roles defined in the task definition. In the container override section, you can change the commands and environment variables set in your task definition. The command override lets you specify a different Docker command to run in the container, instead of the one in the task definition. Environment variables are key-value pairs that override the ones defined in the task definition for this container. Tags help you identify and organize your task definitions, just like we use tags when configuring both our ECS cluster and task definition. I'll select tags to propagate from the task definition so that they apply consistently across related resources. Now that everything is in place, we can go ahead and create our first ECS task, which will be launched onto the EC2 instances. Once the task is successfully created, you'll see it appear in the task list with a running status. If you click into the running task, you'll see all its configuration details. Scroll down, and you'll find the image URI, the same one we set in the task definition. Now, if you click on the public IP link, you should see the Nginx home page, successfully deployed and running. Also note, the public URL we just used is actually the public IPv4 address of the EC2 instance running our ECS task. So essentially, we're just accessing the EC2 instance through its public IP, on port 80. That's because our ECS task launched the Nginx container on that EC2 instance. And since we configured port binding from the host's port 80 to the container's port 80, we're able to see the Nginx home page by visiting the EC2 instance's IP on port 80. Let's navigate back to our ECS task and click on the Logs tab. Here, you'll see that all logs for this task are being recorded. These are the CloudWatch logs generated by our ECS task. Now let's switch over to the CloudWatch console. Go to Log Groups, and click on the log group created for our ECS task. You'll notice, a new log stream has been created, which matches exactly what we saw in the ECS console. Now, head back to the ECS console. Under our ECS cluster, you'll see that one task is currently running. Let's try stopping it, and check whether ECS will spin up a new one automatically. Select the task, click Stop Selected, and confirm by clicking Stop. Once the task is successfully stopped, wait a few seconds. As you'll notice, ECS does not launch a new task automatically, because this task is not managed by an ECS service. If we now navigate to the public IP address and refresh the page, you'll see that the Nginx website is down, no longer accessible. And this is exactly where ECS service come into play. In the next video, we'll cover everything you need to know about ECS service. Alright, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.